fall.
Yes.
Yes.
Most of what I have to say today, I'm going to read to you. It's what you can do by yourself, but I'm going to read it and try to challenge you to start reading. I want to read Psalms 74 and Isaiah 1. Now what we have here in the Psalms, we have a man's idea and a man's thought. In Isaiah 1, then we're going to have God's ideas and God's thoughts as a nation is falling. And what we're going to be looking at is the nation of Israel, the city of Jerusalem that's falling apart and is being watched. But man has his ideas and God has his ideas.
Good point. Come on.
And I want us to see those. In Psalm 74, this is Asaph. He was a worship leader under David, one of the many worship leaders he had. These men could write prophecies because they studied prophecy. Many of the Psalms are actually prophecies. That's the reason Jesus said in his last day, I believe it was on the road to Emmaus, and then meeting up with the disciples, this was after his resurrection, he said, I have fulfilled the law. I have fulfilled the Psalms, because the Psalms were prophesying things.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, Asaph is watching the destruction of Jerusalem. He's watching the destruction of the temple. He has seen things fall apart, and then what this is actually a prayer. I'm not the best reader, but I'll tell you what, I understand what the Word says when I read it.
Amen.
I think about these things, and this is what will give you a burden when you see this and understand it. He begins, O God, why hast thou cast us off forever? Wait a minute, forever? God. By the way, did you see God's being indicted? There's trouble here. What's wrong with you, God? Okay, this is the man speaking. Why doth thy anger smoke against the sheep of thy pasture? Remember, God, you better remember this. Remember thy congregation which thou purchased of old, the rod of thy inheritance which thou hast redeemed, this Mount Zion wherein thou hast dwelt. God, don't you remember? Don't forget this. This is your house. This is your people. This is the people that you made promises to. Things are falling apart. God, wake up, where are you at? Verse 3. He continues. Lift up thy feet into the perpetual desolations. Even all that the enemy hath done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thine enemies roar in the midst of the congregation. They set up their incense for signs. A man was famous according as he has lifted up axes upon the thick trees. But now they break down the carved work thereof at once with axes and hammers. What's happening? They're inside the temple destroying it. One of the most famous men around here is a man that went out and destroyed your place. Continuing, verse 7. They have cast fire into the sanctuary. They have defiled by casting down the dwelling place of the name to the ground, of thy name into the ground. They said in their hearts, let us destroy them together. They have burned up all the synagogues of God in the land. Now, this man is saying, God, what are you going to do? How long are you going to let this happen? They're burning the temple. These people have become famous because they're against you. Now, don't let your minds wander yet, because some of you might already be thinking, whoa, some of the most famous people in our land today is fighting the church.
That's right.
Amen.
Now, we can blame some of that onto some of our misled and misguided and whatever happened to some of our pastors and some of our leaders and some of our people.
Yes.
Some of that has been brought on. In fact, I believe it's the book of Nahum. You might have to look up this quotation. But one of those minor prophets, he looked at the city of Jerusalem as after it was destroyed and still smoking. He looked at it and he said, here we are in a land of plenty, living as slaves, and we deserve it because we neglected our God.
Amen.
Because we didn't live for Him. We didn't live by His laws. We didn't worship Him. And here we are, everything's burning up. Verse 9. We see not our signs. There is no more any prophet. Not only is our buildings been destroyed, we don't even have a preacher now. They've destroyed our synagogues. They've destroyed our temple. They separated our preachers from us. We don't have a prophet to talk to us. Now, remember, we're living in a day we are watching things fall apart. Are we hollering at God? Reserve that. Don't get too angry with this guy yet. I'm going to explain something here. There's no more prophet, neither is there among us any that knoweth how long. Oh God. Now this is pretty challenging. How long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme thy name forever? Why withdrawest thou thy hand, even thy right hand, pluck it out of thy bosom? Now, there's a man standing right in God's face. God, why are you letting this happen? How can you do this? This is your people. This is your God. And everything of yours is being destroyed and you're not doing anything about it. And some people say, oh, don't talk to God that way. Let me tell you something. You might ought to. Paul said that you fight the good fight of faith. We're fighting with the enemy, but it's okay to come to God. You remember Abraham? You know, if you think it's not... don't talk back to God. Abraham stood up to God and said, wait a minute. If I can find just 10 people, you remember? Will you spare these people? He was in the face of God saying, God, I don't like what you're doing. I have a nephew down there. That's what the back is. Lot lives down there. Would you spare it if I could? No, there wasn't 10 people. God said, yeah, you can find them. So God just you find them and I'll do it. But here's a case. We're saying, this man, Asaph, you're wrong. Don't talk back to God like that. Abraham did.
Amen.
What about Moses? God said, I'm sick of it. I'm going to destroy him. It says it repented him that he'd even made man. He said, I'm going to destroy Moses and start over. And Moses, no. Can you imagine talking to God? No! If you're going to do that, you just kill me too. Don't do it. Talk it back to God. Don't get too upset with Asaph here. He's talking back to God. God, what are you doing? Jacob said, I'll not stop fighting. I'll not stop wrestling with you until you bless me.